Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, where we have a mission to wake the world up to what's possible for healing, one brave word at a time. And here today to help me with that mission are some of the amazing authors of a new book that we have coming out. This book is called Hot Mess to Hot Mom, Transformational Tools for Thriving After Childbirth and Beyond. Huge thank you goes out to Tara De Leon. Tara, you had a big mission for this book, and we wouldn't be here without you. And not only am I in love with your amazing cover, with your awesome hot messness all over it, I'm in love with the mission, the topic, all of these just fabulous expert authors stepping up to share their stories, which are all just real and authentic, but also their teachings, their tools, their strategies. They want, and I know you wanted moms to really have to be 5 steps ahead at that point and taking care of themselves. And I'm so grateful to you, Tara, and the entire author cast for what you have put into this book. So without further ado, let me introduce you to these amazing women today. Julie Blamfin is a yoga pro, speaker, author, and the founder of Stretch Your Spirit, where they inspire women to feel joyful, stable, and sexy through movement and stillness. Maria Winters is with us. She's a licensed mental health therapist and owner of The Coaching Therapist, a practice that focuses on education and consultation on emotional wellness. And Melissa Sarovi is a certified RRCA running coach and owner of Chesapeake Running Academy. She empowers athletes to achieve their running goals while promoting a love for fitness and community. Welcome to all of you. I can't wait to have this discussion today. Julie, you're going to start the party off. Tell us about the amazing chapter that you wrote.
Thank you, Laura, and thank you, Tara. I'm so happy to be here in Hot Mess to Hot Mom. I am chapter 7, Think Outside the Box, 5 creative ways to get your sexy back. I am so excited to share this chapter with moms out there everywhere. I have some interesting things to reveal, I think, in this chapter. It was really profound to write. It was moving to write, and I hope you get out of it what I actually got out of it too. So thinking outside the box and sharing 5 creative ways to get your sexy back. I wanted to give women the opportunity, and younger-ish women, the opportunity to really start thinking about sexuality and sexual energy and things that are going on in that realm. I wanted to give you the freedom to understand that we're all in this together. The why in my work usually is sharing these secrets with women who are in midlife and beyond, because that's where I am. And often we've been struggling with some of these challenges, issues, some of these curiosities about our sexual wellness for a long, long time. So it's an honor to be in this book and to be able to share it maybe with some younger women, some moms who might be wondering what this is all about. And I'd love to answer any questions about it.
So, Julie, I love your topic, and I'm thinking back, and I'm like, oh man, I was nowhere near thinking about getting my sexy back like right after childbirth. Like it was just, I was in a lot of pain, to be very honest, and wasn't feeling sexy at all. Was feeling like I completely lost everything about like what that was about. So what do you think the most important thing is that you want to convey to that young woman in terms of being in that stage of things?
Laura, that's a great question. I am so honored to share some of my struggles in my chapter. And I'm honored to share the sort of the commonality that so many of us women have. And that is low sex drive. Now, in my chapter, I'm sharing causes, I'm sharing symptoms, And the secret behind finding your 5 creative ways to get your sexy back is to, exactly the name of the chapter, think outside the box. We might not be masturbating on the living room floor, but we might be playing. We might be intentionally laughing. We might be thinking about this sexual energy that we have in a different way. And so that's what I want to bring to you. I want you to understand that it's more than just head into the bedroom and see what you can do, even though you're in pain and you don't want to. It's not about that. My chapter is pretty creative, and I think that it might bring you some hope and some freedom.
I love that. I love those examples too. Thank you for that. Julie, thank you for being in this project.
Thank you.
Maria, tell us about your amazing chapter.
My chapter is chapter 6, is titled The Myth of the Good Mother and How to Ask for Help. And I think with my chapter, I wanted to open space and open conversations as to how sometimes motherhood can also not only bring happiness and joy, but also can bring frustration, feelings of isolation, fatigue, disconnection, exhaustion, not only physical, but emotional. And sometimes as moms, we don't give ourselves to talk about this because it is expected to be a time again of happiness and joy. But it's sometimes it has its struggles too, right? And we grieve the loss of our sleep, the loss of our pre-pregnancy body, the loss of our independence. And as a therapist, I think it's important, not only because I experienced it as a mom, but also for all the groups that I ran, postpartum groups with women, to have that opportunity to talk to others also about the downside, emotionally downsides that we might experience with motherhood. So I think my chapter is an invitation for mothers to know that you're not a bad mother if motherhood feels hard, and the importance of asking for help. It sounds so simple, but it's not. Actually asking for help and then accepting that help, even if you don't ask for it, but sometimes somebody else offers it, it's hard to accept that help, but it's so important because it can really make things easier.
You know, this is so important. My personal experience was very much like that, and it made me feel massive guilt. This was supposed to be the miracle moment of my life, and I felt all of the bad stuff. Not only was I in physical pain, but I couldn't enjoy what was happening in front of me. And at the same time, the miracle was happening in front of me. So imagine the chaos in moms who are having to feel like all of that all at once. What do you, again, this is like, all right, I want to set a powerful foundation for people. What do you think that most important thing you want moms to know is about that first stage of things?
I think, like you said it, Laura, that they're not alone. For me, it was the same way. I had to deal with a tsunami of emotions. I thought it was going to be just joy and happiness, and it wasn't. Even though I loved and still love my kids with all my heart, there were times that it was very hard emotionally. So I think one thing is to accept that that can happen and that is human, that you don't have to, the meaning of great mother doesn't mean that you have to be happy all the time. It is not a synonym of suffering either, but is opening again that space to say there's going to be great days, there's going to be so days, and there's going to be days that you're going to hate it, and it's okay. It's because it's hard. So I think just accepting, opening conversations with other women, for me was life-saving when I opened my mouth and said, do you have bad days? And then other moms, yes, I do. And I'm like, okay, tell me, because I thought it was just me and I'm suffering a lot, you know. So opening those conversations with other supportive women, surrounding yourself with other supportive women that can be there for you and listen to what you're going through. And then again, as simple as that sounds, ask for help. You don't have to do the laundry every day. You can ask other people to help you. And that doesn't mean that you're weak or that you cannot do it. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you have to do it all the time, right? Because you're taking care of a human being growing up and developing. That's hard work. So ask for help for other stuff and get your me time. That is so, so important and needed, underrated.
Thank you, Maria. Maria, thank you so much for being in this project. These are the conversations, right? I love this so much. We're actually going to talk about self-care here in a minute, like in the next level way. But first, Melissa, tell us about your amazing chapter.
Thank you, Laura. And also thank you to Tara. And I will talk about my chapter in a hot second. I just want to reemphasize what Tara has said, and like listening to Julie and Maria, how every chapter in this book is totally something I wish I had 9 years ago when I first became a mom. Because I just don't think that can be reiterated enough, that, years and years later, you're hearing this, you're like, man, I wish I had known that then. So I wrote chapter 3, Running Strong, Navigating Your Mother Runner Pace. I am a certified running coach, and when I started run coaching, I started working with just moms. So I've been working with moms. It was exclusive for about 3 years, and I've just expanded to include youth and all people. But with moms specifically, I refound my love of running after my second child. And that's the story I share with everyone in my chapter. And the tool I have for everyone is an empowered approach to safely return to running. I might have postpartum at the end there. But it applies really at whatever point you're returning. And a lot of times I've seen women either return to running so quickly after birth, or they try to pick up running after birth because they're trying to get their body back or whatever the social pressures are. And the big thing I focus on throughout my story and my tool is that you need to let that pressure, like, get rid of the pressure. There's no pressure to get your body back. There's no pressure to run at a certain pace. You have created and grown and are now, raising a human. And if you think you're going to go right back to those paces you had before you got pregnant, it can just be a drain on your mental health. Maybe you're better, maybe you're not, but just taking that pressure away, and enjoying the run. And a little bit of a spoiler, actually, I won't spoil that, but one of the things I really like is like to make sure I ask the question of, are you enjoying running? Because that second group of those who are picking up running thinking it's the fastest way to get their body back, they think they're running maybe just because it's the fastest way, and they might not like it. And you mentioned self-care. At this point in my life, and hopefully anyone that I interact with, like, why are you doing anything that you're not enjoying? If you're not enjoying, don't do it. I have had athletes who I've worked with, they're like, I'm just really not feeling it right now. I'm like, then take a break. Like, it's okay to not go back to running, to not be running, to, go do something different that's actually going to bring you joy. I encourage movement. I think movement is great and for our physical and emotional well-being. But running might not be your thing. And the number of people are like, oh, I'm just not a runner. I'm like, that's okay. Not everyone has to be a runner. Which might sound odd. You might be thinking, well, don't you want everyone to run? But I want everyone to run if they enjoy running. And taking that pressure away is one of my main points throughout my chapter in the story, and then within the tool, of having an approach that doesn't have that outward pressure on it.
So if I had had you way back when, my life would have been completely changed. And I know that you and I haven't had a chance to talk about this, but I was marathon running before baby number one. And, a lot of times your athletics, your thing that you do that brings you the most joy is how you identify as a person in the world. It's like what matters to you the most. It makes you feel strong and empowered. And of course, we all know that childbirth is a total identity crisis point too, right? So I had two in one. I lost the running because it was too painful to do it, and I lost myself. I feel like I lost myself two times over. But if I had had somebody like you saying, hey, this is probably a better way to get your body back up to the place where you might be able to go running again, right? I probably would have had a whole different scenario. And of course, no regrets. But for somebody who, and this is very specific, Melissa, with the running being the thing that that you coach and that you help people with, what's that most important thing at that stage? Like, if I say to you, well, but that's the thing I love to do, no matter what, yet, I was in pain doing it anyway. Oh, I want to talk to that woman back then. Like, why were you doing that to yourself, right? What would you say to her?
So I would say, if it's someone who identifies as a runner and they're struggling with running and they want to run, but due to pain or, women who work a full-time job and are doing the daycare drop off and it's the time. The first thing I would say is you are a runner. It's like you're a marathoner. If you run a marathon, you're a marathoner. And just because you don't go run another one doesn't mean that title is taken away from you. So you are a runner. And my advice would be to listen to your body, because if your goal is to continue running, if you're not listening to your body now, you might actually make it to a point where you physically can't run in the future. So taking care of your body now by listening to what it's telling you when you try to run. I'm assuming it's like I went out and I ran and I had pain, right? And in my tool, I talk about like, oh, well, stop. That's actually what I tell you to do. Stop.
Just stop.
And let's see where that's coming from, and let's readdress that before continuing on. So it's a process that we can use to get you from I had a baby to I want to meet whatever my running goal is without that pressure and having that feeling that you're making some progress without the setbacks.
So that was what I was hoping you would say to everyone. Listen to your body. So thank you. And thank you so much for being in this project. Listen to your body, I would imagine all three of you would agree, is like foundational. And the thing is, you have a different body at that moment after, like your body is different. So I think it requires a new body awareness and level of awareness, really. And this is kind of something that I want to really talk about next. And I know you all will relate and have some wonderful things to share about this. Maria, I want to start with you. The main theme in this book, I think, is that to be the best mom you can be, you have to remember you come first. And self-care after childbirth is crucial. This is an awareness process. Feeling is healing. And if you all serve others in any capacity in your life, not just as a parent or a new mom, it's crucial. This awareness is crucial, right, for life, for a great, juicy life. So Maria, what's one of your favorite ways you practice this awareness or the self-care in your day-to-day?
I mean, one thing is, like you said, first being aware of how I'm feeling, what's going inside of me. It's to learn. We have like patterns, right? Like I know when I'm feeling exhausted because I'm irritable, I'm probably yelling at my kids more often than not, right? So now I know, in my case, that's a sign that I need to bump up my self-care. So something I do is moments for me. in my case, I like moments of silence because for me, motherhood is kind of synonym to mom this, mom that, mom, 20 times a day. So for me, it's important to, if I'm going to go get that shower, then I lower the lights, put some music, and then I establish my boundaries. Mom is going to take a shower unless there's like a earthquake and we're all going to die. Please respect that time. I'll come out in 20 minutes, whatever that is. Sometimes it's going for a drive, sometimes it's going with friends, out with friends, and I've come to that agreement with my husband that we both need that time, so he can go have his time and I can have mine too. And we love our time with our kids, but we also know the importance of having time for ourselves. So for me is key that is consistent. I'm not talking once a month, that's not enough for me. I'm talking weekly, big ones weekly, but during the day have those times that maybe I go for a walk, that I take my time when they are in school to take my deep breaths and enjoy that silence that recharges me. And what you said, Laura, I just want to add, I always tell my clients and I tell myself, my kids' needs are important, but so are mine. Because that thing of putting ourselves last in line and then pleasing everybody else, and then if we have time, then we take care of ourselves, need to stop. And we even need to model to our kids that that's not healthy for anyone, because if I'm last in line, then I'm more irritable, and that affects everyone. I'll tell you, when I raise my voice, it affects everybody in this house. So to prevent that, mommy needs her needs met too, and that is good for everyone. So that's what I would suggest.
I love it. And I love that you talked to, I remember myself rushing myself through showers, rushing into the bathroom and out again, rushing to have a meal that I ate in 2 minutes instead of 20. Like, oh my gosh, like, and so I love that your example included just a normal daily activity and the idea that we got to set boundaries on keeping a few minutes to ourselves and not having to rush through. It's so important. Oh my goodness. So Melissa, when you're thinking about this topic, what's one of your favorite ways? Like, which one do you want to share with everybody?
Well, I have a new one that I've just started. Like resting, not for sleep, but like resting for like the mental recharge. So it kind of took a tipping point to get me here to realize that I needed more than just like the 7 to 8 hours of sleep I was getting. That sometimes I need to actually just sit and do nothing in the middle of the day. And I yesterday laid in my bed and watched 2 episodes of a TV show for 2 hours in like a dark room. And I dozed off a tiny little bit, but like I didn't really sleep, and I got up and I was like, I feel so much better now, because my mind is always going a million miles a minute, like all the tabs are open, trying to figure out, okay, we got today done. Well, who's doing what tomorrow? All the chores, who's picking up a kid? Oh, but then there's next weekend, and then I want to do this. So how can that fit into the family schedule? My mind needs a reason to stop. And I did not often give it that reason. And so that's something that I have seen in the past couple weeks, giving myself an intentional, like, you're doing nothing right now. And that is okay. Time block. And I have seen a huge improvement just in how I feel every day. And just my motivation to go for my run, or, whatever else I need to do that day.
I
Be
love that
nice with my
one.
kids, not yell at the kids.
I love that one as a life success strategy. I think one of my mentors did talk about like naps and sleep. She's like, naps are a success strategy, but I would say just rest is a success, now however you want to have it. You don't have to be asleep. And I love it. I have a favorite meditation that I'll put on in my ears, and I might fall asleep or I might not fall asleep. But either way, when I get to the end, I'm like, ooh, that's good, right? You can feel yourself coming back a little. All right, Julie, how about you? What's one of the favorite ways that you practice the awareness, the self-care? How do you want to talk about this?
Well, this is actually what my chapter is about. Yes, it's about sexuality. Yes, it's about those sex drive and energy and emotion, but it's about the mind body connection. It's about how can we think about ways that might not be the obvious ways. And speaking about sexuality, it might not be the obvious ways to cultivate that energy, but just taking those moments to maybe go and watch 2 episodes, maybe go and have a nice long shower, maybe just go and stare out the window at a tree and breathe for a minute. Having these opportunities to just connect with self, I like to call it yoga in real life because some of us do have time to grab the yoga mat and drive down to the studio and pay and get in the fancy pants and practice yoga and really connecting mind and body. But some of us actually want to do it in little bits and spurts throughout our days. And so practicing that real life mind body connection can be so beneficial to really helping us fill up our cup as we're also helping to fill others.
Yeah, nice. Filling up the cup. Go into overflow. I like to serve from the overflow, right? It means I'm not
Yes.
pulling on my
Yeah.
reserves, which is what I wish for every mom, that they get their overflow back so that they can keep taking care of everyone like they want to, but still have some left, for themselves. And actually, not just some left, like plenty left. That's where I want people to be at, right? That's what this book will do for the readers. I hope you all feel the beautiful energy of what you all are putting together here for these moms. I know you do. Um, there's you have all touched on this next topic. My last question for all of you, it has to do with community. To me, community can be the difference between success and failure as a mom, a business owner, or just really in life in general, the village, right? So, Melissa, you start this one off. Tell me about this idea for you. What has community meant to you? And yes, as a mom, but maybe in other ways also.
Community is that support that keeps you afloat, in my opinion. Um, you know, if I'm like stuck in that running thought of like different running communities and so forth, but as a runner, people like to share, hey, I just ran. Like there's the common meme on Instagram or reel or whatever you call it of, your friend's a runner because they always talk about running. Like you want to share that information with people because it makes you feel validated, makes you feel accomplished. And so whatever, you know, facet of life you're in, whether it's your mom community or your corporate community or your running community, your yoga community, right? That's a huge bolster for you. And then, Maria, you mentioned this with your postpartum group that you had of you don't feel alone. There's so many times I feel X, Y, or Z, and I'm thinking it. And then when I share it with someone and they're like, I know how you feel. I have been on that path before. You're like, I'm not alone. And you just feel seen and heard and comforted and like things can go on and everything will be okay.
Yeah, I love that. I very much resonate with what you're saying about the groups and running or otherwise. However, those communities are for you, whatever topic it is. It's a place to show up with that common love. And that's just such a fun and amazing energy. And it'll help you come back to yourself after after childbirth and when you're feeling like, ooh, what just happened to me? Who am I? Right? That's what's so great about having kids. It's like one of those moments in life where you get to ask that question. Who am I? That's big. It's a big deal. So even just having other people to talk to about whatever the subject is that you love. Julie, how about you on this? What's community meant for you? What do you want to add?
Well, I would love to add that when you have a community and you know that you can share anything, hopefully, you start to recognize that number one, you're not alone. Number two, that it's okay for you to feel the things that you're feeling, for you to question the emotions that you're moving through. Melissa and I have had conversations. I'm going to touch on something she said before, going back to running to, I don't want to say too soon, but soon after childbirth. Sometimes we are wondering if it's okay. Well, I'm a yoga pro. I've been teaching for a very long time. And one of my specialties is core and pelvic floor wellness. And so Melissa and I have had this talk about what does it mean when we're moving through this desire, this drive to get back out there in our sneakers. But we know perhaps that we're not ready. We're not stable enough, truly, physically, to get back to that. So just having that community to share those very personal experiences and to have that conversation and say, I really want to do this, but damn, I don't think I'm ready. And you know what? That's okay. And your friend might be like, I hear ya. I'm right there with ya. So that feels so good. It feels so good to be able to have those conversations that we think are so taboo and might be bringing up feelings of shame. But I love to share the story. I, in junior high, was bullied by girls. And so for me, I really hesitated for many, many, many years on sharing my truth and being vulnerable and going into some of these taboo topics. But it was the last night of my first retreat. I host women's retreats, and I was sitting at that table asking the women at the table, all right, let's share about this, let's share about that. And I'm sitting there listening, but at the same time thinking to myself, okay, maybe it's time you share, Julie. So I did. And that was years ago. And that's when I really understood the power of community, the power of being among women who can understand you. And you might not have the same experiences. We're all different, but we're all the same. And we're all in that space, sharing space and lifting one another up. So it was a pretty marvelous experience for me. And so that's what I lead with when I retreat with women and speak with women. And that's what I'm sharing with you in this chapter as well. Community, community, community. Share your truth.
Yeah, and what we're doing in the book as well, which is powerful. Yes, yes, with an exclamation point. All right, Maria, wrap us up with this for you. Like, what's the community topic meant for you? What do you want to add to this?
Well, everything these two ladies said, and I would add that you have the right to choose this community, that it's something that you consciously choose with people that are not non-judgmental, people that you feel comfortable even asking, like, hey, Laura, I right now I'm struggling. I need somebody to listen to me for the next 10 minutes without judgment. And you ask for that, and then get that space to express your feelings. Obviously, for obvious reasons, I'm a big supportive of expressing feelings. We need to express them. And the other thing is that this community or caring community that you're creating for yourself not only has to be friends, it can be professionals too. It can be the support group you can go to. It can be the therapist you contact to have your weekly session. It can be those mommy and me groups where you meet other moms in similar situations. It can be the friends. It can be, it can be really any other human being that is willing to, again, like they said, support you, lift you up, but also having that space to talk to other people. We're social beings, and there's some researchers out there say that we crave two things, and one of them is being heard. And that's probably the main thing, is to connect and feeling heard with what you're going through, and have other people witness your happiness, your pain, whatever that is. And that's gonna bring our vulnerability, that at the same time can bring healing and growth. And that's what we look with those communities. So find your village, find your tribe, even if it feels that you just want to be in your bedroom alone. Go that extra effort and reach out, because at the end it can be life-saving.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Maria, yes, yes, yes. Maria, Melissa, Julie, to the three of you, thank you so much for what you do in the world. And thank you for being here to share it with everyone. If something that you heard today to our listeners, was giving you the goosebumps or resonating, maybe you just have a question or you are ready to ask for some support. This is much more than a book, y'all. It is a generous community of professionals and experts who are there for you. So drop down into the show notes, because I have these women hooked up with their websites and links and places where you can go connect and learn more. We can't wait for you to do that, to reach out if you do need help. And something fun I haven't been able to do before that I'm going to do today is just show you this beauty. So
Yay!
I know you're all welcome and invited to join us for our live stream book launch party. It's going to be on April 5th at 11 a.m. Eastern. There's going to be information down below for that. I'm going to gather with all of these beautiful hot mess to hot mom authors, and we hope that you'll join for our book launch party. And if you happen to be listening to this recording or interview after that date, that just means you can hop over to Amazon by then and grab your beautiful copy of the book. Lastly today, everyone, remember, your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it is time to be brave. See you next time, everyone.